Hello and welcome to How to Invest. In today's video, we're going to be talking about Oddity Tech's most recent full year earnings call, what went right, what went wrong, and some huge lessons that I learned about investing in general through this massive 50% drop in their stock price. A little bit about me. I am a stock analyst for a holding company with over 10 million of assets under management, as well as my own personal $150,000 portfolio. Just so you guys know, we are not certified financial advisors. This video is not financial advice. All investments carry risk. You are solely responsible for your investments. We encourage everyone to do their own due diligence and research. We have a high risk tolerance and a long investment horizon. This video reflects our opinions only at the time of recording and are for educational and entertainment purposes only. So this is from their shareholder letter, and you can see this is highlighting some of the key takeaways from the fiscal year 2025. And they are pretty freaking impressive, actually. We have $810 million in revenue, which represents 25% year over year net revenue growth, which is really impressive because their guidance is just for 20% revenue growth and 20% EBITDA margin. So they achieved their 20% EBITDA margin, but they, smashed the revenue growth by 5%. And then you can also see here they have a really healthy balance sheet and they spit off a decent amount of free cash flow. Now, what went wrong in this most recent quarter? So I have some highlights from the transcript, and this is all relating to a huge issue with one of their advertising partners. So I'm going to go ahead and read this. We experienced an unprecedented dislocation in our account with one of our largest advertising partners, which we believe is due to recent changes in their algorithm that likely diverted us to less desirable auctions and traffic at abnormally high costs. And they said they believe the reason for the algorithm update impacts was how this platform interprets and weighs the signals associated with our try now or try before you buy model, primarily due to its inherent higher return rates, and that diverted them to those lower, quality margins at higher costs. Or auctions at higher costs. So basically, they're doing this try before you buy, which is honestly a really good model for consumers, right? It more recreates like a retail experience where you can really, try the different makeups before you make the purchase. So you just pay shipping, kind of a sample gets sent to you. But if you don't buy, my understanding is then it is counted as a return. And the algorithm saw this and said, wow, this must be a really bad product. So I'm going to put them with these low quality advertisers, which, have to pay a lot more to advertise. And that has really destroyed their guidance. So this is why it sold off 50%, is because basically they said revenue is going to drop somewhere around 30% in Q1, and they're not going to see meaningful recovery in revenue until the second half, which is really, really bad news for, Oddity, because they mainly advertise and acquire new customers in the first half of the year, not the second half of the year, because typically there's more competition, especially around in Q4 around the holidays. So they try to acquire, customers at a lower cost per, click, that kind of stuff, lower CPM, because there's less people competing in the first half of the year. Now, this made me realize two things that I'm going to take to the future when I look at business models in the future, stocks that I'm interested in investing in, is how important is advertising to the company for their growth. Do they achieve any type of operational leverage, right? Is their business model subscriptions, right? So, if they acquire a customer, do they have to get the new customer every time with a new advertisement? Or are they actually sticking around and they're kind of actually building a core base of customers that stick around and are repeat customers? Or do they have to advertise to get every new customer they buy once and then they don't necessarily repeat buy in the future? Then real quickly before I go deeper into that, I do want to talk about how this also kind of hurt my trust in management, because they're basically saying they identified the cause of this back in late January. So this has been there for a month in the management, and they didn't let investors know at all. So I'm not super happy with management. It would have been really good for them to have kind of done some kind of press release saying, hey, like, we're going to suspend guidance for 26 because we've had a massive issue with one of our advertising partners. So but yeah, this is something to definitely keep in mind whenever you're investing in a company that is dependent on direct to consumer sales through advertising. That this is always a possibility that those advertising partners are going to be pushing out new algorithms. And if they're doing some kind of creative product offering that's really meaningfully driving their sales, the algorithm might not understand that and could happen to root or to happen to Oddity, happen to them as well. So that was a huge lesson for me to think about in future companies that I am studying. And the other thing, as I was looking through the fundamentals and like how much they were dependent on advertising spend for their revenue, I was realizing that Oddity doesn't get any operational leverage at all. So that was the next thing I wanted to talk about. So this is the comparison of operational leverage, right? So how much so you can get operational leverage in a few ways, right? So you can spend less on advertising per additional dollar of revenue. You can spend less on admin and administration, general expenses per dollar of revenue, or you can spend less per cost of goods sold per dollar of revenue, right? So you can drive down the costs of producing your product that you're selling. You can drive down the costs relative to the revenue of like your general and administrative, and you can drive down the costs of your advertising relative to your growth in revenue. And as I was looking at that, I found out that Oddity basically is getting zero operational leverage. So we can look at this is the first one is revenue. This is SG&A, selling, general, and administrative expenses. And this last section is the compounding rate for gross profit. So this shows you if they're getting any operational leverage in their cost of goods. This is showing them if they're getting any operational leverage in their selling, general, and administrative. And that is all relative to the rate at which their revenue is compounding. So let's start with Oddity first. Their revenue has been compounding at 55.5%. And then their SG&A has been compounding at 55%, so almost exactly in line with their revenue. And then their gross profit, which shows you if they're getting any, cost of good leveraging, is at 56.5%, which shows almost a zero, very, very minimal operational leverage. So you want SG&A to be scaling slower than revenue, and you want gross profit scaling faster than revenue to be seeing of whether or not you're getting operational leverage. Now let's compare that to a company like Hims and Hers. Their revenue has been compounding at 73.5%. And then their SG&A, which you want to scale slower, is scaling significantly slower, 5% slower at 67%, or sorry, 6% slower at 67%. And then their gross profit basically is in line with their revenue at 73.7. So pretty much no operational leverage there, but Hims is getting operational leverage in their SG&A. They're having to spend less on general and administrative and advertising per additional dollar of revenue. So they are getting operational expense there. Plus, I believe Hims has like products in the pipeline where they will get operational leverage elsewhere, especially with their AI product. They should get meaningful leverage with their cost of goods sold, and the gross profit for that product should grow faster than the revenue for it because it will be a much cheaper kind of product to produce because it will basically just be the cost of tokens for them. And so that should give them operational leverage in the comparison between their gross profit and revenue. And so I love to see this. I also think they should get additional, and this might happen to Oddity too. The more they implement AI into the backend, you might start to see SG&A start to get some operational leverage for Oddity. And I think that Hims will definitely, and they have AI initiatives. So I think Hims will definitely start to see a meaningful increase in their operational leverage from implementing AI in the backend. I just want to compare that to one other company that we compare that is getting insane operational leverage, and that is Path. Path has been compounding their revenue at 33.5%, their gross profit. So they haven't really gotten any operational leverage so much as much on the cost of goods, but they have been getting a very, very meaningful operational leverage in their revenue to their SG&A. Their SG&A has only been compounding at 8%, while the revenue has been compounding at 33.5%. So you can see kind of how these different business models can achieve drastically different levels of operational leverage. And I think when you are thinking about buying a company, you do definitely want to buy a company that will achieve some type of meaningful operational leverage. So realizing that Oddity is basically getting zero operational leverage makes me not interested in the company anymore, basically. So they are super reliant on each additional dollar of revenue to pay almost the same increase in advertising and general and administrative expenses. So I would much rather own a company like Hims that will continue to get operational leverage, and I think that could even accelerate in the future for Hims when they start selling lower cost of goods products like basically an AI primary care physician. So yeah, I'm definitely going to be looking at this kind of operational leverage for more companies in the future. That's something I definitely learned by this, that I was doing research on Oddity after this huge stock price, deciding whether or not I still wanted to own the company. And the last thing, I will look at the modeling. But I think for me, realizing that they're not getting operational leverage and how dependent they are on advertisers made me really not interested in their business model anymore. So even if they hadn't fallen 50%, I probably would still sell them. It's a bit of an unfortunate thing that I realized they weren't getting this operational leverage after they fell 50%. And I'll kind of tell the story real quick of my journey, because I talked about them before when they were selling about $40 a share. And in that video, I basically was like, oh, it's not really that great of a buy right now relative to other opportunities we have in our spreadsheet. And then the stock price fell to $30. And then the relative return looked much better because the price had fallen. And at that point, nothing changed with the fundamentals. Obviously, they weren't getting the operational leverage then that I didn't realize. Otherwise, I probably would not have bought the company. But then they came out with this huge issue with their acquisition costs, and the stock fell 50%, over 50%. And then as I was doing more research on like how dependent are they on these advertising partners to continue to grow, I realized they weren't even achieving any operational leverage at all. And I was like, this is not a company I want to own for the long term, which was a big learning lesson to me. So part of investing is making mistakes. Luckily, it was basically just a starter position, so it wasn't too meaningful of a loss, even at a 50% fall in the stock price from where I bought it at around $30. But yeah, it just goes to show that you have to take the lessons in stride. There's definitely a reason to not go all in on a company. I definitely don't think that is smart, because there's always going to be more things that you don't know. And sizing is important for your amount of conviction in a company and how well you understand their business model. So yeah, luckily it was a starter position, but I learned a big lesson, and I'm thankful for that lesson, even though it cost me a meaningful amount. I am totally fine with that. And I love the fact that now I get to share that with you guys. So hopefully you don't get to make that same mistake. You can learn from my mistake and really make sure that your companies are achieving operational leverage. You want to see that in the business model for your companies. But yeah, let's quickly go over the modeling. So this is pretty interesting. Even if they grew or shrank revenue for the full year, they're just guiding for 30% decrease in revenue for the first quarter and then back to growth. So even if it was even worse than what they're expecting, this could be, bear case could be talking about maybe some of the operational risk that exists. Are they going to be able to actually get the algorithm to understand them and drop costs again? Because that's something that's actually not within the control of this company. So let's say maybe worst case scenario, the revenue drops 30% for the full year 2026, and then they don't even get back to their 20% growth year over year kind of algorithm. They do have a couple of years of decent growth to 2030. What would that mean for the stock price? Quickly, the profit margin assumption is 14%, which is about where they are now. And then the PE would be a 25 PE. In the bear case, it is still a pretty good 5x from here. And that's just a lot because this kind of, forward guidance got pretty much completely priced in, and then I would say actually oversold. So pretty much all of the decline in revenue guidance already is priced in. So it actually kind of does present a decent kind of opportunity, or investment kind of return. But because the fundamentals, and the qualitatives of them not actually achieving any operational leverage, that's just something I don't want in a company. I want a company that can start to achieve operational leverage, like Lemonade has, like Path has, that like Hims is achieving. So I have realized something fundamental about the company that makes me not interested in it. But let's look at the base case as well, real quickly. It still could be interested. I highly encourage you to go do your own research on the company as well if you're interested. But yeah, let's say even if they just shrank 10% for the full year 26 and then got back to their 20% kind of revenue growth, and then they achieved a net margin of around 15%, with a PE of 28 in the base case. That's like still around an 8x. But when I compare that to the other companies I own, like Lemonade, like Path, like Ford, like Hims, and like Duolingo, they all have better returns, and they don't have a fundamental issue, a fundamental qualitative issue, which is the fact that they're not achieving, all these other companies are actually achieving operational leverage. So I hope you learned from this. I hope you were entertained. I, love to share my lessons. If you have any lessons that you've been learning from investing recently, please share them in the comments below. I'd love to read them. Please leave a like and subscribe if you want more videos like this in the future, and have a wonderful, wonderful day.